The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
My man, thank you so much, man.
Charlie,
yes, sir.
We are across the street from the jail. I'll go as slow as I can, but you eat what you. I ain't gonna. You eat it all. I'm not gonna take you out the van until you're done. You good?
Oh my God.
Newly released video of convicted killer Charlie Adelson chowing down on some Wendy's. This is he's being transported to the Leon County Jail in Florida. His ex-girlfriend, Catherine McBanoa, also making a stop in Leon County this week, and we're wondering what for. Plus, 16-year-old Carly Gregg wants an appeal. The teenager who was convicted of murdering her mother claims her guilty verdict is unconstitutional because of her age. Also this hour, we're spotlighting Amish mom Ruth Miller and her spiritual tasks. Now, could those tasks turn deadly? We have an Amish expert joining us live to weigh in. And we've got a defendant on defense, Samantha Krebs, taking the stand in the kiss and kill murder trial. So will she sway the jury? It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Wednesday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. We got a great show planned for you, so we're going to start it off as we always do. Grab the cup of coffee or tea or hot water with lemon, whatever you like in the morning. It's time for my Opening Statements. Lots of things come in 12s, like roses, donuts, the hours on a clock, 12 angry men, 12 apostles, and now 12 attorneys who represented Sarah Boone. That's right. Her most recent appellate attorney has withdrawn from the case. And believe it or not, the reason is not her. Shocking, I know. The reason is he accepted a new job with the Attorney General's office. Still, I feel that all 12 of them deserve some kind of special recognition or hazard pay for tolerating her as long as they did, because she just might be the most difficult client ever. You see, the problem with Sarah is that she thinks she's the queen, but she doesn't have a crown. She has a conviction for murder, for killing her boyfriend, George Torres. But for some crazy reason, she thinks that that conviction is everybody else's fault. She blamed the victim, blamed the court, blamed the media. The list goes on and on and on. She blames everybody else for the horrible problem that she and only she alone caused. So I say Sarah should get comfy in prison because that is where she ought to stay. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
Joey told me that if I leave that he's gonna kill himself. And after he threw the knife sheath, I was like determined to leave. But when I was gonna leave, he turned around and came into where I could see, because the kitchen is like half wall. He came into view and he was holding his side and he had blood between his fingers.
In Wisconsin, we've got defendant Samantha Krebs, you just saw there, returning to the stand today. This is in the kiss and kill murder trial. It's going to kick off at 9 a.m. Eastern. We are on a 30-minute court-ordered delay, so we'll keep you posted as soon as we see the action going. In Florida, we've got the trial for 5 people charged in the alleged drive-by shooting that caused the death of a 4-year-old child named Sonny Bell. Testimony is resuming at 9 a.m. Eastern. And in Georgia, we've got a motions hearing continuing today for defendant Robert Long. This is going to resume at 10 a.m. Eastern time. This is the guy who's accused of the spa shooting murder spree. I know you heard about that story, made national headlines. Right now, though, let's turn to another story making national headlines. The Adelson inmates all making a stop at the Leon County Jail in Florida. I want to show you this newly released video this morning of convicted killer Charlie Adelson being transported to the Leon County Jail in Florida last month. You can see in the video Charlie in the back of the van even smiling a little bit. At one point, it seemed like he might have been talking to himself. Who knows? And at some point along their drive, the van driver takes him to get some Wendy's.
Man, thank you so much, man.
Charlie,
Yes, sir.
we are across the street from the jail. I'll go as slow as I can, but you eat what you. I ain't gonna. You eat it all. I'm not gonna take you off the van until you're done. You good?
Any chance I could just take one cup off? A lot faster. I'll take this dine and eat. So just stand up.
Sit down. Sit down. What channel was it?
I can take my shirt off too.
We'll get that when we get there.
It's just hot. All right, that's fine. Thank you so much, man. You're the best.
Oh, look at Charlie. He seems very happy with that Wendy's. Now, we know his mama, Donna, is at the Leon County Jail. And now we're learning that Charlie's ex-girlfriend, Catherine McBanawa, also convicted co-conspirator for both of them. She was there last week as well. And that's interesting. Why was she there? We know she was done testifying. Donna's convicted. Why was she there? Could it be because there's a grand jury presentment going on, maybe against Wendy, maybe against Harvey? Just an educated guess. Let's bring in our legal eagles and see if they agree. Want to welcome in the former state attorney for Palm Beach County, Dave Ehrenberg, along with criminal defense attorneys Franz Borghardt and Kesia Early. Kesia also practicing in the state of Florida where these cases have been taking place. All right, Dave, what do you think? Why was Katie McBanawa at the jail?
Well, Julie, you would think maybe it's because she's testifying before the local grand jury against Wendy and maybe Harvey, but I'm not so sure about that because you don't need them to testify. Usually you just get a law enforcement officer and that person can just use hearsay, which is allowed in a grand jury, and just tell the tale and get the indictment that way. So I'm not totally sure. I hear it's because they wanted to make sure she's not in the same facility as Donna, so they're moving them around. But I don't have an easy answer to this one. I don't think it's because she is going to testify before the grand jury, because why? They don't need her, and it's not usual for that to happen. By the way, on that video for Charlie, Charlie's getting everything he deserves. But I got to admit, maybe it's my sense of humanity, I actually felt sad in watching that. He looked like a caged animal. Again, he did it to himself. But this guy had a Ferrari, had the finest restaurants, lived the high life. And now he looks like he's just an animal eating and enjoying Wendy's. Like, this is his life forever, which makes me believe that the only way he can get out of this, which is perhaps possible, is to testify against Wendy in her trial.
Ooh, good point, Dave. All good points, really. Another look at Charlie scarfing down those French fries. I agree with you, Dave. It is really, really sad. I mean, this guy wants a thriving dentist, a very successful dentist in Miami, and not anymore unless he's doing prison dental work. Franz Borghardt, want to go to you next, please. Your thoughts on why Katie McBanawa was there, and certainly welcome your thoughts on Charlie's transport video, too.
So I agree 100%. If you're going to the grand jury, you don't really need, you can indict a ham sandwich on just one officer. You don't need to present anything. I think this was probably more negotiations. I think it's a prelude to cooperation agreements against, I'm so excited, Wendy. And I do think that they're going to indict Wendy. If they don't indict Wendy, I don't know what, Julie, because I mean, watching all of these trials, I'm just like, what are you waiting on? So the Wendy sandwich, okay, good for him. He gets a Wendy sandwich. I mean, that's something we take for granted. It's probably one of the best meals he's gotten in quite some time. I agree. He does look kind of like a fallen, from grace kind of individual. But I think this is cooperation meetings. And look, they all have everything to gain from cooperating. They all have everything to gain by cooperating against Wendy, and, hopefully that indictment's coming soon.
Yes, Franz, a perfect segue to the clip I'm going to play. And Casey, early, I want to come to you on the other side of this. This is Georgia Kappelman, the prosecutor who's handled all of these cases, lead counsel for the state on this one. After the verdict, let's hear what she said about Wendy.
Georgia, does Wendy have reason to be worried tonight?
You said that word. That's a bad word.
A bad word.
No W questions.
Worried is a bad word. Well, last time. Should we say stay tuned? Do we need to stay tuned?
I mean, you can stay tuned.
Okay, Casey, I want your thoughts on what she just said there. Katie McBanama, and of course, good old Charlie.
Wendy, how can I put this? The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they're still turning. I'm just thinking about everything that's going on with this case. They're not done with Wendy. And I don't know if it's a sign that he was eating Wendy's. I don't know, but it was just kind of cringy, just like my colleague stated. My head is all over the place when I first started, because I'm like, it's too obvious, because she had the most to gain from all of this. So I do believe that there's something coming down the pipes. Not so much with Harvey. I believe that he had some form of knowledge, but I think that with his position, he was kind of kept out of the dark until after the fact, and he kind of just went with the flow. I don't know if there's a lot of evidence, but Wendy, absolutely. And I'm gonna tell you why. There was a question that Georgia asked her while she was on the stand. And at first she said, if anyone is involved, should they be held accountable? She said, yes. And then she said, if you're involved, should you be held accountable? She said, anyone involved. If that was me, I would have said, I'm not involved. It was the way that she answered the question. Wendy, it's unfortunate, but you were involved, and there will be charges coming soon.
Yes, Casey, I'm loving what you're saying. And thank you for bringing up the Wendy's, because I think that's what we were all thinking. I know in our news when we were talking about this morning, we're going, yeah, it's probably totally coincidental, but, there's Arby's, there's Taco Bell, there's McDonald's. Why wasn't it any one of these places? It was Wendy's. Wendy's with the Y, though. The good Wendy. Dave Ehrenberg, let me get back to you on that point. The Wendy that has the cloud of suspicion over her head, how likely would you say it is that she's going to be charged?
I now have it at 96%. So I'm increasing it by the day. Now, by the way, the Wendy's restaurant is across from the courthouse. That's why they went there. I don't think there was any symbolism in it. But it is sick irony. Mm-hmm. Yes, convenient and ironic. The thing is that you could see the way that this office, Georgia Kappelman and Jack Campbell, have done it one by one, and they give a tip-off to the next person in the previous trial. So when they put Katie McBanama on trial, they talked a lot about Charlie. Then they got Charlie. When they put Charlie on trial, they talked a lot about Donna. They put Donna on trial. And now in this trial for Donna, they talked a lot about Wendy. So her day of reckoning is coming. And she knows it. I'm hearing out there on the internet that she's already talked to her boyfriend in Texas about adopting the children. Charlie spoke about that actually in a recorded call with a media person behind bars. And if that was legitimate, what I heard on the internet, then she's expecting it. I mean, Wendy is no dummy. She was knowledgeable about this. She knew about this in my mind. And as we found out in the Donna trial, she took active steps to assist. How did Donna get the make and model and license plate of her ex-son-in-law's car 2 years after the divorce? Who do you think gave that information to her? That's just one important piece of evidence against Wendy.
So true, Dave, so true. And those poor Markells, those lovely people that I know you know, Dave, Phil and Ruth, what about them seeing the kids? I mean, I just wonder, have they even seen them? Dave, if you have any idea, I know that's been a terrible struggle for them because of Wendy with an I.
They have seen them. In fact, Florida passed a law because of this case to give grandparents rights, although it doesn't directly apply to this case until Wendy is indicted and convicted. So it's crazy stuff. But the Markells have seen the grandkids. The problem is that the poor grandkids have had their minds poisoned against the grandparents for some time. So it's taking a while to warm up again.
Oh, that is so sad. Dave Ehrenberg, I know we've got to let you go. Incredible insight and analysis, as always. Thank you so much. Franz Borghardt and Casey earlier coming with us. Friends, you do the same at home. Please go get some more coffee if you like. We're back in just 4 minutes, and here's what's next. Hey, remember this little character? Carly Gregg, convicted of killing her own mother. She wants an appeal, and her defense team is pointing at her age. Plus, an Amish expert joins us live this morning to talk about the case that has everybody talking. The Amish mother who is accused of killing her 4-year-old boy.
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. People are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real.
The Court TV podcast will return.
All right, the verdict appears to be in proper form. Mr. Gregg, if you and your attorneys would come to the podium. The verdicts read as follows. As to count 1, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. As to count 2, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. Please be seated.
That was the moment that then 15-year-old Carly Gregg, now she's 16, just had a birthday, was sentenced to life in prison for killing her mother. Well, now she's seeking an appeal, and she's pointing to her age as a key reason for it. Gregg's attorneys are arguing for a second time that the jury was given incorrect instructions before their deliberations, saying in part in their recent filing, quote, the court's instructions letting the jury toggle parole on count 1, which was first-degree murder, were therefore ultra virus, and the life without parole sentence is count number 2, likewise infirm for a juvenile. None of this is harmless. It goes to who decides what options legally exist and how youth must be considered. The filing going on to say the prosecutor suggested that if Carly received a parole-eligible sentence, she could be out in as little as a year, an assertion that is not only patently false, it also is misleadingly reframed the stakes. Okay, so does Gregg's appeal seem viable? Bottom line, is it going to go anywhere? Let's ask our legal eagles, Casey Early, Franz Borghardt on the show. Casey, what do you think, please?
Julie, if there was constitutional errors, if she was denied a fair trial and the instructions were not proper, then she should be granted a new trial and the proper instructions given. But if it's just solely because of her age or that the defense wants a do-over because they didn't get a chance to adequately investigate the case. There was some allegations that this was a rocket docket, that she was brought to trial within 6 months. I mean, there's motions that you can file and argue to the court if you need additional time. Just because it's set in course doesn't mean you have to go within the 6 months. So if they're arguing that they did not adequately prepare, then that may be a reason not to do a new trial.
Sure. Franz, what do you think about this? Does this appeal and the grounds sound like it's going to hold water to you?
I think that she has a viable argument for an appeal. I don't know if it's going to hold water. And look, the best thing that she has going for her is her age at the time of this trial and the time of the conviction and the time of the sentencing. Our Supreme Court has decided, for better or for worse, that juveniles are treated differently than adults. We treat them differently because they're not as developed. It doesn't mean they can't be convicted. It doesn't mean they can't have consequences. It means they get treated differently. And these are straight-faced arguments. What do I mean by that, Julie? It means that they're not like frivolous. They could have weight to them. They could work. And look, anything she's doing right now is to put herself in a better position, either a better sentence, maybe a negotiated resolution. Parole eligibility would be a huge, huge golden ticket for her. And if I was representing her, that's the North Star is parole eligibility at some point.
Sure. No, you're right, Franz. Let's take a listen to the 911 call. Remember, she's just covering her ears so as not to apparently face what she had done.
We got everybody here. She what? She killed her mom. She killed her mom? Yeah. That's what I'm screaming about. Where's the mom? She got to kill me.
Now, Carly Gregg's defense team is also pointing to a rocket docket, they're calling it, and trial scheduling. They're claiming that this also denied her a fair trial. They're saying in the same filing, quote, in a case of this magnitude requiring collection and review of extensive medical and mental health records, multiple evaluations, substantial family background history, and a dispute of motive, such acceleration is extraordinary in Mississippi criminal practice. The compressed timeline set in motion when, at the first pretrial hearing, the trial court announced, quote, it does not continue cases together with erroneous and unconstitutional pretrial orders deprived the defense of a fair opportunity to prepare. Now, Carly Gregg's team was denied their first attempt at an appeal. The court ruled that the defense had enough time to prepare, and their claim of trial by ambush did not work. Okay, so what do we think about that idea, the rocket docket? Was this the problem? Franz, what do you think?
I think we're seeing them put everything in the kitchen sink. And I think that it's not as good of an argument. Now, look, that said, I'm a big fan of, if you want to hunt for justice, make it a fair fight. And there shouldn't be a rush. If the defendant is trying to use constitutional speedy trial rights, that's different. But she's incarcerated. She's not going anywhere. The public is safe. So I get what they're arguing. I just think that this is a cherry on top kind of situation where it's not going to really make or break the appeal, but they need to allege it so that they can have a holistic package of the appeal.
Sure. You know, another question we were talking about in our newsroom this morning, was her defense believable? So was she insane at the time of the shooting? For anybody who needs a refresher on this, we've got some clips from the medical experts. Let's take a look at that. And Casey, I'll come to you on the other side.
Your opinion ultimately is that from the time that she got home and she took out the dogs, that she blacked out at that point, correct?
Yes.
And that she doesn't come to until the police pick her up, correct?
Correct.
But she remembers everything else that day?
Yes.
She remembers waking up and being irritable that morning?
Yes.
But that one hour or so period, an hour and a half period, that's the period that she doesn't remember?
Correct.
My opinion is that Carly does not meet Mississippi's standard for insanity at the time of the offense, and that she knew the nature, quality, and wrongfulness of her actions during that day.
Okay, Casey, doing criminal defense work, curious if you think that was a smart defense that they put forward for her.
That was the only defense that they had, right? Because we know that this was captured on surveillance. And then it's what she did afterwards. I believe that she called her friend and told her, her friend that, do you want to see a dead body? She even texted her father and, you know, tried to figure out when he was coming home to attempted murder as well. So what she did, she had no other viable defense. It was captured on camera. Now, had this not been captured on surveillance, that would have been excellent, because what child does this to their parents? She was in such a young, innocent age, but she had no other outlet. And I do agree with the second doctor's evaluation that this wasn't a case of temporary insanity. This was her only option left, and it wasn't believed by the jury.
Casey, thanks so much for that. Franz Borgert, thank you too. You both are sticking with us. Stay right there. We'll hit a break. Coming up next on Opening Statements, I gave him to God. Those are the words from Amish mother Ruth Miller, who's charged with the murder of her 4-year-old child. Plus, defendant Samantha Krebs returns to the stand for cross-examination. What does the jury think so far?
They came in and he told me that they had been in the investigators' being investigated all night long, and they were told that Joy didn't make it. I'm sorry.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you. And I doubted him. I doubted him so many times. But I am to tell you, he is coming soon. He is coming very soon. Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you.
This morning, our spotlight shines on a devastating case out of Ohio. Amish mother Ruth Miller accused of killing her 4-year-old son. She's also charged with child endangerment and domestic violence for allegedly driving a golf cart into the lake with her 15-year-old daughter and twin 18-year-old sons on board. Now, Miller claims that she, quote, gave her 4-year-old boy to God by putting him in the lake. Miller appeared in court on Monday, where she pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. So many questions looming in this case, still remaining unanswered this morning, like why would she kill her child? What's the timeline of events here? What happened to her husband? He's dead too, but police are saying they don't suspect foul play. Here's some body camera footage of Miller you may not have seen yet as police are trying to figure out what exactly happened here. And listen, you're going to hear her make a surprising request.
We really need to verify your husband's still with us.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, he's actually just go out in the bottom of the lake.
Well, I can't go in the bottom of the lake. So
Do you have scuba divers?
Yeah, we're going to have to call divers in to go to the bottom of the lake.
Please do.
And you're saying
the best ones there are, because this is a miracle from God. You will see. You will see.
You're saying your 4-year-old son's down there too?
He's with God.
Where's his body at?
I don't know.
Where did you throw him in the water at?
Off of the dock at the causeway.
Now, it's important to point out that the Old Order Amish Church tells Court TV's sister network Scripps News that the events that unfolded at the lake do not reflect their teachings or beliefs, but were instead a result of mental illness. Now, this morning on this show, we want to get a better understanding of Amish beliefs, and we have a very special guest to help us do that. And we're also going to talk about the legal problems that Mrs. Miller has ahead of her. Let's welcome in journalist and Amish expert Kevin Williams and criminal defense attorney Don Malarsic. Great to have you both on the program. You both are in Ohio. Kevin, you have been to 80 Amish communities around the United States. What did you think when you heard this story break news?
I mean, the video is painful to watch, the body cam video. I watched that in full last night, and it struck me as a mental illness situation, not an Amish religion situation. This was clearly a woman who needed some help, and there was a breakdown in getting her the help that was needed. You'd have to think there would have been some signs ahead of time that were missed.
Right. Kevin, there's an important distinction, I think, to be made here, and we hear her talking about these tasks, completing the tasks. She references her husband in the tasks. Is that a thing in the Amish community, or is this just something that she was saying that she had to do because of whatever voices were talking to her?
Yeah, that's not a thing in the Amish community. It's not something that if you talk to most Amish people, that you would hear. This sounds like an unfortunate nexus of mental illness meets religion. There's clearly an evangelical strain in this particular Amish church, because Amish churches vary greatly from church to church. There's a lot of variation in the church, and this sounds like just an unfortunate combination of mental illness meets religious, very zealous interpretation of Amish religion.
This is helpful, Kevin. Let's take a look at a clip together. And Dawn, I want to come to you on the other side. This is Ruth Miller, caught on body camera footage, talking to police about what happened with her husband.
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband.
I need to know where your husband's at.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
He's in a fish.
Yes.
There's no fish large enough on an atwood to swallow your husband.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
This is really sad. Dawn, I want to go to you on this. This is the area where you practice. You practice in northeastern Ohio. You are the guy people call you a very high-profile criminal defense attorney and have been for a long time. She pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity at that first appearance. Your thoughts on that, please?
Well, in Ohio, Julie, there's two parts to guilty by reason of insanity. The first prong is that someone must be diagnosed with a severe mental disease. The second prong is that because of that severe mental disease, they did not know the wrongfulness of their conduct. And what we've seen here in these body-worn cameras from Ruth Miller is the second prong. It's there. She does not know the wrongfulness of her conduct. In fact, she thinks she's being tested by God, and she's not doing the things that someone who believes they committed a crime does. She's not hiding. She's not lying. She's not making excuses. She's telling the police exactly what she did and why she did it. The question in this case, Julie, does she meet the first prong? Does she have a severe mental disease like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression disorder? Some forensic psychologist is going to examine her and give us that answer. These religious illusions, all these thoughts are not the basis of insanity per se. So the question is not the second prong. It's clear she did not know the wrongfulness of her conduct. The question in this case is the first prong. Does she have a severe mental disease or defect? That's going to be the entire case.
Don, this is so helpful. As you're talking, I'm envisioning you trying this case. Let's say you're representing her. Would you find the videos like the one we just played helpful for that defense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is clear evidence that she's not trying to hide. She's not making up any excuses. She's telling law enforcement, and she's trying to convince the officer. She puts her hand on her heart and says, you know, basically, the Lord is coming, and he wants you to feel his love, and the end is near. So she is clearly under this delusion, and this is absolutely strong. Not think what she did is wrong. This video really, really helps support the insanity defense, as long as, again, they have that severe disease that they can point to. These religious beliefs themselves do not eat insanity.
Don, thank you for all of that. This is really helpful. Kevin Williams, I want to go back to you, please. You told our producer that mental health assistance is really not readily available in most Amish communities. Would you tell us more about that, please?
Yeah, one of the most wonderful qualities about Amish culture is also one of their greatest vulnerabilities, which is they're an insular, very community-oriented, very church-oriented community, which means they support one another. They have a lot of support within that church, but that same support can also isolate them. So, you know, if somebody is having mental health problems, it can just, they'll often have an attitude of, we can take care of it ourselves. But I mean, in this case, clearly it didn't work. And there often are facilities available for Amish to take advantage of, but getting them to avail themselves of those is difficult because their culture is so insular.
Sure. Kevin, let's talk about a couple other things. You said that the Amish church is very nuanced. A couple questions for you, starting with the water. Is there any significance with the water, how she's taking the boy to the lake, drowning the child by her own admission, saying this is a task, giving him to God? I don't see anything, I don't read anything into that. I mean, the water
especially on warm summer days like this, is a very popular pastime among the Amish. They'll take boats, they'll go swimming in farm ponds. So this is just a part of their culture, a part of their life. I don't think the water itself carried any sort of theological significance.
That's what we were wondering, like, because in some churches, like a baptism, you would use water, things like that. You're not thinking that's what's going on here?
No, I mean, this strikes me as a classic breakdown of a mental breakdown that collided with her religious interpretations.
Right. Kevin, what about golf carts? She apparently drove a golf cart. Do Amish churches allow that?
Well, I mean, each church is different, and looking at the video and looking at the way she's dressed, and then some people that I've talked to who are familiar with her church, that would tell me that her church is not a deeply conservative Amish church, because there are a lot of Amish that would, say, no, we can't drive a motor vehicle like that. But it varies from church to church. There's some Amish churches that allow motor vehicles, such as tractors. I mean, they don't drive cars for the most part, but a golf cart would be unusual.
Right. Boy, this is really, really helpful discussion with you both for all the reasons that we came to really want to understand this morning, the culture, and then, of course, her legal problems. Attorney Don Malarsic, journalist Kevin Williams, thank you both so much. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, will defendant Samantha Krebs tip the scales of justice in her own trial? This defendant is on the stand. She's going to be back there in just a short while. We'll talk about what she said so far after the break.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Now for what's tipping the scales of justice, the defendant in the kiss and kill murder trial returns to the stand this morning. This time she's going to be on cross. So after the state rested Tuesday, the defense called their client, Samantha Krebs, to the stand. She is the accused of stabbing her boyfriend, Joey Carnot, to death and then giving him a kiss. As police say, she left the scene of the crime. Krebs spent about an hour and a half on the stand telling her side of the story, and she said she did not say that Carnot fell on the knife.
Samantha, the one other statement that we've heard a lot about is a statement of somebody on that recording stating, "What do we tell the cops? That he just fell on a knife?" And those might not be the exact words, but do you recall hearing that?
I recall hearing that, yes.
Do you personally recall stating that on that night?
No.
So you had concerns that if you had reported what happened, Joey might have some type of consequence for it?
Yes, but then I changed what I said, and I told John Pfeffer to tell the police that he did stab himself.
So how did Joey Carnot get stabbed? Did this woman do enough to ignite some reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors on Tuesday? What's she going to do today? Let's talk about it all. Let's bring back in Casey Early and Franz Borgard. All right, starting with the stabbing. Oh, Franz, that look on your face just says it all. Says it all. Okay, so you're not buying what Ms. Krebs is selling, are you there?
If you want to buy her magical beans, you can. It was just, look, and look, do I leave room for the possibility that the ridiculous and silliness of life sometimes happens? Sure. This is just a little bit too much for me, and her saleswomanship is also questionable. I'm not saying her pants are on fire, Julie. I'm saying I felt like those were crocodile tears, and I don't buy it.
Yeah, I'm with you, my friend. I'm with you. Casey, what do you think? Are you buying what she's selling?
No, I'm over it, Julie. I mean, it's not credible at all. This case relies on credibility. And from the onset, not only did she lie, after she attempted to render aid and after law enforcement reached out to her, she kept asking, "What's going on? Is he okay?" No, you already knew what was going on. He did not fall on his knife. I'm pretty sure there'll be additional testimony regarding forensics and whether or not that was a plausible defense. But even with her being on the stand, it's just too much. It's just overly done. And it's just off-putting to me. So I can only imagine what the jury is doing, just sitting there like, okay, already, let's get this over with. The writing is on the wall. She's tipping the scales, all right, but in the favor of a conviction as opposed to an acquittal, she's not convincing.
Yes, I think you're exactly right, Casey. Let's look at another clip of her. This is where she's talking about learning of Joey Carnot's death.
They came in and they told me that they had been in the investigators being investigated all night long, and they were told that Joey didn't make it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Franz, we see the tears, but we don't know the reason for those tears. Now, do we? Is Samantha just feeling sorry for Samantha, maybe?
So what we do know is that sometimes people who commit murder do actually feel bad about the fact that they commit murder. They're murderers, but in the same breath, they have to reconcile the fact that, hey, they did this horrible thing, or hey, I'm in this horrible position, and or hey, I'm facing this horrible outcome. So there could be any reason for these fake tears that could be real. That said, look, this is self-serving is sometimes what happens when our clients testify. And look, that's okay. This is disastrous, Julie. I don't know. I mean, did she need to testify if this was going to be her performance? Do you think her defense attorneys were on board with this? I don't know if they were, but look, it's her trial. It's her right. Let her get up there and do it. I think this is a massive fail.
Yes, I'm with you, Franz. And I love the point you just raised about, did she need to testify? You're hitting on something so key here. We all know that the ME for the state couldn't arrive at the opinion that this was a homicide. So, Casey, talk to me. You have that situation as a defense attorney. That's a small victory, isn't it?
It is, because there lies your reasonable doubt. But oftentimes, our clients, as much as we're educated in the law, they just don't listen to us. And they feel like, no, I have to tell my side of the story. Even after sitting through my voir dire, after I instructed the jury, educated the jury that they can't hold it against my client, they still want to tell their side of the story. And although we may go over what they'll testify, we can never prepare them for cross-examination, and that's when it goes downhill. So even though this performance is airtight in her head, cross-examination is what really tears you apart, and you can't prepare for that. So what can we do?
Casey, you're so right. And she's going to be crossed today. I can't wait for this. I thought she came off as a hot mess. They were more concerned about the dope in the house than they were about making sure that Joey Carnot got the proper aid. And when she said, "Oh, I thought he was fine. I didn't think it was life-threatening." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's crazy, but we're about to hear some more of it. She's putting on quite a show, and it's not done. Speaking of court cases and trials, Casey Early, Franz Borchardt, you both have cases you've got to win. We need to let you head off to court. Thank you so much for your time and all the great insight and analysis today. We'll see you next week. We're going to hit a break, my friends. That's all for opening statements. If you like the episode, share it. Tell your friends about it. Go to courttv.com, click on the shows tab. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants-on-fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on courttv.com.